If you want to feel more confident in your body, have more energy, and live life on your own terms without ever feeling held back by your fitness, you need to break out of the cycle of starting a diet and then falling off before you reach your goals. And to do that, you need to change your habits because the body and the health that you have right now is just a physical representation of your current habits. Meaning that the things you've been doing have led you to this situation that you're in right now, which I assume you're on this video so you're wanting to change. And this is good news because that means if you can change your habits, you can change your health and you can change the way that your body looks. It took me most of my life to figure this out, but once I did, I was able to keep the weight off and I've been able to help my clients do the same. I'm gonna break down and explain how habits work so simply a 5-year-old could understand. And then I'll break down the 4 stages of change so that you can have tactics to start implementing on this ASAP so you can ultimately lose weight sustainably. I'm gonna take out my handy dandy notebook right here and we'll sketch this out for you. So stage number 1 is unconscious. In this phase, you're not really sure what you're doing and you have a lot of habits that you've been doing without even thinking about it. And so in this stage, this is the ignorance is bliss phase where I don't believe that ignorance is bliss. I believe ignorance is pain. But once you have the knowledge, you can start to make better choices. So an example of this is maybe you're unaware that when you are feeling lonely or you're stressed out or you're depressed, you go to food as a way to cope or to give you a certain feeling. So ultimately, we want to be able to get out of this stage. So how do you actually do that? Well, you have to think about your past attempts because I'm assuming that this is not your first time trying to lose weight. So thinking about what you've done in the past and all of the diets and all of the protocols and all of the programs that you've done, I want you to spend some time to really think about what are the roadblocks? What are the things that usually come up that have led you to falling off track? Is it the emotional eating that we talked about in the past? Or is it you eating out all the time because you don't plan and you don't prep your food ahead of time? Or maybe your roadblock is that once you miss a workout, you feel like you've totally ruined everything. And so you end up falling off track for a week and that week turns into 2 weeks, 3 weeks, 4 weeks. So take some time to think about what are the issues, what are the walls that you usually come across that lead you to falling off track. So a lot of you guys will be in this stage, if not stage 2. And again, the way to think about stage 1 is this is kind of autopilot. This is you just going through the motions and you not being conscious about your actions. So now that we are aware of the habits that we do, we move into stage 2, which is the conscious and aware stage. I should have, let me label this. So unaware, and this is aware. So now that you're in stage 2, you have the knowledge, you are aware of these things, and knowledge is power. And remember this, a great philosopher once said, with great power comes great responsibility. Now that you are in stage 2, you now have a choice, which you did not have in stage 1. Remember, this was autopilot, and now that you are aware of these things, you now have the power to make a different decision. And that's why so many people choose to live in stage 1, because this is the ignorance is bliss stage. And if they don't know any better, oh well. And that's usually why people turn a blind eye to the things that they know stress them out. If you are struggling with your finances, like maybe you don't want to check your bank accounts, or maybe if you know something is wrong with your health or your teeth, you don't want to go to the doctor. You don't want to go to the dentist because if you're unaware of it, it doesn't exist. But in actuality, it does exist and it does affect you. And the longer that you push this off, the longer you stay stuck and the worse things can get. So we want to be able to get out of this stage and move towards our end goal as quickly as possible. So once we are in stage 2, we then transition to stage 3, which is a choice. So now we have a choice. To be able to make the choice to the new life and the new direction that you want to go, it can be difficult for a lot of people. And I think one of the main reasons for this is that the way that you can stay the path is to always come back to your why. The thing about that is I don't think people go deep enough into the reason why they want to change. Like, why do you want to lose weight? And I love a simple exercise you can do to get to the root of your actual why is the 5 whys exercise. And essentially that just means asking yourself why 5 times to get to the root. So if I was to ask you, why do you want to lose weight? Maybe you would say something like, I want to lose weight because I want to feel more confident. And that's usually where people quit, right? That's usually where people leave things off. But the thing about that is it's not very strong, and we can make that a little bit better, right? So why do you want to feel more confident? Well, maybe I want to feel more confident because I want to find a significant other. I want to start dating again. And cool, it's getting better. But I think we can go a little bit deeper. So why do you want to find a partner? Why do you want to start dating again? Well, I'm getting older and I feel like I'm running out of time, and I don't want to live life alone, and I feel like my time is running out. Cool. It's much stronger. It's much stronger than I want to lose weight. Once you understand your why, you then have a pain. And the thing about change is hard. Change is difficult. And a lot of times people don't change unless the pain of their current situation is greater than the pain of changing. And for me, I remember specifically there was a day where I looked in the mirror, I was super overweight, and I felt absolutely disgusted, literally sick to my stomach. And from that day, I decided I will never feel like this again. I do not want to continue to look at myself in the mirror with my shirt off and feel disgusted about myself. And that was my turning point. So maybe as you reflect on this, you can start to identify or think about, what staying the same or staying in your current situation is actually doing to you and how painful that is. All right, so this is good. You now have a choice, right? You have a choice. So you can either stay the same or choose path number 2, right? So this is your old ways and this is the new life that you want. So how do you make making this choice easier on yourself? 2 things: space and friction. What I mean by that is if you are struggling with, let's say, emotionally eating, how can we add space? How can we add space to this situation? Well, instead of always reaching for that food or the snack or whatever it is, you just simply set a timer. Maybe you do it for 10 minutes or 20 minutes. And what this does is it puts some space between you and the impulse of reaching for that food to cope with yourself. It gives you that buffer time to think. And the thing about these unconscious habits that we have or these habits that we have is that they're usually impulsive. And it's usually brought on very quickly. So if we can prolong that decision, if we can put some space between us, we can start to make better choices. And the thing about that is a lot of people think that you will always, okay, now that I have the choice, I will always choose the one that is in more alignment with my goal. And that's not the case. And that's actually why a lot of people struggle with this all or nothing mentality, where they feel like they've screwed everything up and they've messed everything up. And so they fall back into their old patterns because they say, I screwed the pooch and I might as well just go all out for a week. I'll start again next week. But we know that next week usually doesn't happen. And it usually takes months or maybe years before you're like, okay, how did I get here again? And then you get back on track. So you will not be perfect. You are a human being. You'll never be perfect. But the thing about that is if we can make the choice to choose or to change our behavior in a way that's more in alignment with our goals, the more we do it, the more that habit gets ingrained. And that's what it's about. So you will not be perfect all the time, but you give yourself an opportunity to make that choice. So we talked about adding space. What about friction? Well, friction essentially just means that we want to make it harder on ourselves to do these bad behaviors or these behaviors that are not in our favor. So an example of that is not keeping snacks and goodies in the house. If you know you cannot control yourself around a certain foods, do not keep it in the house. And this is not about restriction. I'm not saying you can never have them, but let's add a little bit of friction between you and that thing. So how we do that, and I love using this tactic. Let's say you love Doritos. Instead of keeping Doritos in the house, you can still have it, but the only way you can get it is if you go to the gas station, you go to the grocery store, and you buy an individual bag of it. Again, we are not being restrictive. We are putting parameters around it. We're putting some friction between us and that impulse. And sometimes you'll go out and you'll grab a chip. You wanted it that bad, enjoy it. And in most cases, you'll find that you don't go for the bag of chips. So anything you can do to make it a little bit more difficult, even if that's not keeping things in sight. If you live with your family or whatever it is, and they always have goodies, you can have a conversation with them and say, hey, this is what I'm trying to do, and I would love if we could do that. That would be number one. And if they can get on board with that, and not keep it in the house and not have you have that temptation, that would be amazing. But if not, at least can we keep it in a drawer? Can we keep it in a cabinet? Can we keep it out of sight so that it's not a constant reminder? It's not calling to you all the time. And one last thing you can do to make this choice much easier is to make it easier on yourself. So what I mean by that is if you are trying to make it to the gym, something as simple as laying your clothes out, having your gym bag prepared, having everything ready can make going to the gym easier. And that's a concept that you can apply to your food, packing your meals and having that ready to go. Anything you can do to make this change easier on yourself, do it. And so that's stage 3. Then we get into stage 4, which is the reward. I am not an artist, so that's a little keyhole there. Reward. And so the thing about this choice is that you get a reward from both of these. The difference is that, number one, the behaviors that you have right now, it's immediate. We'll use the emotionally eating example that we talked about before. So we know that certain foods make us feel a certain way. And so we run to it to have that feeling. So it's immediate. It's predictable. That's why, do you have those movies where you just always come back to them no matter what? You've probably watched them a dozen times, if not hundreds of times. And it's because we know how it will make us feel. For me, I love watching Elf because it's a feel-good movie. It's funny. I like the way it makes me feel. So although I've seen it a lot of times, I always come back to it. It's always predictable. It's always there for me. The same thing with food or these bad habits that we have. So let's talk about the reward for the habits that are in more alignment with our goals, the habits that we're trying to build up. The thing about that is they are usually delayed. So choice number 1 is predictable. It's ingrained over years and it's immediate. Whereas number 2, the habits that we're trying to chase, it's unfamiliar, right? It's unfamiliar and it's usually delayed, which is it's not very desirable as human beings. We want things fast. We want fast change, especially in today's modern society. So now the question becomes, how can we choose this choice more often? How can we keep our goals of the reward more top of mind? And so some tactics for this is if you have a pair of pants or a dress that you have not been able to fit in a very long time, you put that out. You hang it up outside your closet so that you can see it, and it's a physical reminder. It's a physical representation of what you are working towards, right? And as you lose weight, you maybe start to fit it better and better and better until you can actually get into them. Another thing that you can do is to set mini milestones. When you have a bigger weight loss goal, let's say you have, 60, 100 plus pounds of weight to lose, it can be very daunting. It's kind of like being at the base of a mountain and looking at the top of it. That can be very overwhelming. So instead, just focusing on little sections and breaking that up along your journey can make it much more manageable. And so what that could look like is breaking it up into 10-pound increments or 10-pound chunks and really celebrating and rewarding these milestones along your journey. The last thing that you can do, and it kind of ties into the first thing, is to have quotes, have your to-do list, have physical things in your environment to keep you on track and to remind you of what you're working towards and your goals. Because if it's out of sight, it's out of mind. And so whether that's having the tasks you need to get done for the day, whether that's go for a 30-minute walk or eat 3 meals or have protein in every meal, whatever you are striving for, having a physical representation of that can just help you remind you throughout the day. And so these are the 4 stages of habit change, or the things that you need to be aware of as you're trying to change your habits and behaviors so that you can actually reach your weight loss goal, but more importantly, to keep it off. And this is a very, very small topic when it comes to losing weight and getting healthy. And so if you need some guidance, if you need someone in your corner to help you through this and to give you some structure to follow while keeping you accountable, I'm going to leave a link down in the description so you can learn more about online nutrition and strength coaching with me and to see if that would be the best thing for you. I hope this video was helpful. If you have follow-up questions or questions in general, message me on Instagram, or you can just leave a comment. But regardless, I want to make sure that you are actually taken care of because I know how confusing and overwhelming all of this can be. So I'll see you in the next one.